In a world clamoring for connection, the most meaningful messages are found in the quiet. This is The Signal, a show about the craft of writing, the journey inward, and the courage to bring your truest voice to light. I'm Terry Pappy, your host and fellow writer, and I'm here to guide you through the noise to the signal. The Signal is not just a podcast. It's also a newsletter. So I have a companion newsletter that I send out every other week. The podcast episode comes out every other week, so they kind of balance each other out. So you get a dose of Terry every Monday. When I sent out the very first issue of the Signal newsletter, I received some interesting email responses from a lot of my regular subscribers, because what I did, since it was still a topic that I felt was relevant to the audience I had for my solopreneur life, I included them in the list when I distributed this newsletter. And I said, listen, if this is not your cup of tea, please unsubscribe. I was very upfront about it, and we'll still remain friends. As far as I know, I haven't gotten any unsubscribes. I've gotten a lot of new subscribers actually since I've hit this topic. In the last episode, I shared the origin story of Verano Writers. And this is, again, another one of those things where I'm getting more traction because I'm pursuing a passion. I'm pursuing my path. And I'm finally allowing myself to take risks, to put my neck out there and my emotions out there and my personal life out there to a degree. Obviously, I don't want to get too personal because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or be too enigmatic about something that I'm dealing with now that I know over time is going to fade and calm and release. And when you've lived as long as I have in this life, you learn about these things. So anyway, I sent out my first newsletter and I got some really nice replies from a lot of my regular subscribers from the prior newsletter that I was sending out. One of the replies was something from a longtime subscriber. She has been following my content for quite some time, and I'm very grateful to her for that. And to anyone who has been sticking with me through my carousel of creativity is what I can call it. And she said something that actually ended up triggering me a little bit, but she didn't mean it that way. She meant it as a compliment. Like I could tell she was happy for me, right? And she said, "Have you reinvented yourself again? Brava, another brave step. Good luck as you continue your journey." She has a wonderful heart. And I know she intended that as like, wow, good for you, go get them kind of thing. But it triggered me. And this is and the word that triggered me is reinvent. And the reinvention implication, the way I heard it, was that what I'd done up to that point was ineffective, insufficient, wrong, bad, whatever, something negative. It didn't work out. I wasn't able to get the fulfillment from whatever, okay? But it was like, for me, supercharged with all that energy. And I was like, I need to take a look at this. I didn't think I would do a podcast episode about it, but here I am, right? Because these are the things that keep us from pursuing our passion. In the last episode, I talked about permission. In addition to sharing the origin story of the Verano Writers, I gave you a prompt saying, what are you wanting to do that you're not giving yourself permission to do? Whether that's a creative thing like writing or something else. Because what's stopping you is typically based in a false premise, an illusion, some sort of negative belief or fear. For me, I've always been kind of, how do I put it? I don't want to say self-deprecating, but I've always been willing to share my pain and my mistakes and my assumptions to my audience because I know it can act as a vehicle for their thought growth, expansion, clarity. You never know what somebody's going to say or do that's going to make that thing click for you. And this is why I love trusting the universe to put people on your path that help these things unfold, because we're asking for help and asking for guidance. I'm usually pretty raw when I write and when I share these things. And as you're witnessing by listening to the show, thank you for being here, by the way. But this particular thing, the reinvention comment, just really fished me in. And when I was looking at that reaction and thinking about it, I was like, why is that something that bothers me? My entire journey through life and through the work I've done professionally, etc., and the personal growth things, the programs and seminars and extensive therapy that I've subjected myself to have all helped me understand my chemistry, my makeup, my way of being, the way I make decisions, the beliefs that I've had since childhood that form every decision that I make. One of the things that I have a tendency to be, I don't want to say a people pleaser because that sounds like I'm a pushover and I'm not, but I do feel very strongly about creating a positively charged environment for the people that are around me or people that are exposed to what I'm putting out there. And when I read that, I was like, I sense judgment. So where is that judgment coming from? And it was, again, I was projecting that judgment. And it was coming from that little bit of insecurity that I still have and probably will always have because we are human beings, right? I'm sure you have a little bit of that going on as well that's keeping you from pursuing your passion. But that insecurity is based in what other people think. And so in this episode, I want you to think about the context of what is it that you're not doing or that you're not doing fully that if you did, if you put yourself, your heart into it, if you tapped your signal and really deepened that content or that experience or that act of service that you're providing in such a way that you're fully into it, that will be life-changing for you. So when you look at the things that are holding you back from doing that, typically it has something to do with what other people will think. That fear of being judged, ostracized, labeled, canceled, all of those things that can happen when you do something that other people, whether it's perceived by you or whether it really happens, perceived by people in such a way that you end up kind of shortchanged and feeling really bad about that situation. That is a big, big barrier to you accessing your voice, accessing what truly lights you up in pursuing your passion. The prompt I have for you in this episode is going to be around that. Explore for yourself, what is it that I'm not allowing myself to do? So in the last episode is all about understanding, what are you not giving yourself permission to do? And so there's a permission portion of it, which is, it's all about you. In other words, why are you not pursuing something? What is stopping you? Whether it's logistics, like I've got a full-time job, I've got kids to raise, I got kids to put through college, so I can't afford to step away from earning income. Whatever the reason is that you're not pursuing that. In this episode, I want you to explore the fear that surrounds you as far as what will people think? What will people say if I start showing up this way? And the interesting thing about it is, and when I look at my life and how I have this tendency to nurture others and care give, Lord knows I've had personal experience doing that, that my tendency is always wanting to leave somebody with a positive takeaway. That's why the writers group that I run every Monday is very oriented on positive feedback primarily, and it's not a critique group, because I want to encourage people to continue developing their writing skills, to continue exploring their voice and bringing that to the surface and taking those big, bold steps. Like I have this one woman, she's very, very talented, and she writes incredibly penetrating drafts when we have a prompt. And it's challenging for her to read them because her emotions are so close to the surface. But because this environment that we've all created together is a intimate, it's protected, it's safe, that she feels very comfortable, as uncomfortable in reading her work in front of the rest of us is so for her, she's able to still do it. And we are incredibly moved as a result of what she shared. it's incredible. And I can't tell you, and I'm going to probably be saying this a lot because every Monday, I am blown away at these people that sit in this little theater in my community clubhouse and the work that we do together and what we share and what we've all been learning. It's so inspiring and so incredible. So when you think about how harsh the world can be in its stead of judgment, in how everything is about, look at me, here I am, I'm doing this cool thing. What is it about that, the humanness of that is absent? And I've shared in my last show, my last podcast, my solopreneur life, and how I've been seeing professionals replace their soul, literally, with AI slop, where they'll take a prompt, they'll throw something in, and they'll take that and they'll throw it on social media, they'll throw it in a sales proposal, they'll put it on their website. They'll use AI to just get it done and get it out there because they're addressing the machine of consistency and being visible and making sure that you're constantly putting content out there because it makes the algorithms happy and Google search will be happy and Gemini and Claude, and they'll all have all this information. I mean, it's like, okay, where's the human in all this? When we sit down and look at what's stopping us and what's preventing us from writing, from exploring what our real thoughts are and our real feelings are about a particular topic, why are we not sharing it? I can remember doing this in my own business when I would create content. And I'm pretty good at this because I love writing my own content. I love being positively charged. I love drawing attention to things that make people look at them a little bit differently, kind of like through my eyes. But at the end of the day, there's always a line that I came up to and I would stop. And I wouldn't take that extra step of whether it would be disclosure, vulnerability, basically taking a risk of pissing somebody off because I really want people to have a positive takeaway. So I never really wanted to poke the bear, if you will. This was all unconscious. I don't think I was really aware that I was doing it, playing it safe. And not that I'm going to go out there now and like, oh, she's got this new show and she's reinvented herself. And then she's going to go and like bare her soul and tell us all about this and tell us all about that. And it's not going to be like that. It's very subtle. When you connect with your voice, when you're able to really dig deep and allow the words, the stories, the insights, the fun, the goofiness, the real echoes of your personality and your life experience to come out on the page as a writer or as somebody who's developing a keynote and you want to be on stage and you want to tell the story and you want to get people laughing, get people crying, you want people to join you on that journey. It's so powerful when you allow yourself to do that. So once you've figured out what permission you're not giving yourself, the next thing is, what are you most worried about people will say or do or make decisions about you? Will they say things that aren't true? Maybe. But here's the thing, who cares? I mean, seriously, who cares? And if you care, then you got to figure out a way around that. Like, talk about it. Say, listen, I always wanted to write about this, but I always worried that it would piss somebody off or upset somebody or show too much of my soft underbelly. And so I never really did it. Well, here goes. And then you roll up your sleeves and you just dive right in, right? Take that chance, see what happens. But I will tell you this, because I was getting little cracks of light in this hard shell that I put up for many years because I was running my own business. I wanted to come across as capable, professional, lighthearted. This isn't too serious. It's just business. It's just marketing. It's just a brand. It's just a logo. But on the inside, I was dying to really share some funny things, some sad things. And occasionally, I would say in the last couple of years, I did it a little bit. So I was stepping over that line, just like I kept one foot on this side, the safe side, and then I would take the other foot and I would just kind of straddle that line a little bit. And I would share something slightly either personal or something that impacted me in an emotional way. And the way I wrote about it was pretty vulnerable. And when I did that, like for example, on a social post or inside one of my newsletters, you wouldn't believe the response that I got and the engagement that came from it. Like, to be able to feel seen when you do something like that. And I don't want you to misconstrue this as a manipulation. There are people out there that will use a victim positioning, like, oh, this thing happened to me, and to get attention, to get clicks, to get followers, to get people that align with whatever it is that happened to them or that they're championing or degrading or whatever, that manipulate in that way. What I'm talking about was not that at all. That's just not in my DNA to do content that way. When I would have those moments where I would be like, all right, I just have to tell somebody this kind of experience I had. It was crazy, the connection. And that's what I'm talking about. That's the gold. When you hit the signal, when you hit that vein of gold that's inside you, that is driven by your brain, your heart, your soul, your life experience, your attitudes, your desires, everything that's motoring that, that's gassing that up and moving you forward, that needs to be put out there, because there are other people, many other people, who will need to hear it. They will need to consume it. They will need it as their aha moment to flip the switch for them. And you are doing a disservice by not providing access to that. What we're doing here on this show and in my newsletter and the content I'm putting out there, and hopefully, knock on wood, the next writing workshop, which is going to be a virtual one that I'm going to be putting together, because so many people have been saying, oh my God, Terry, can I go to your writers group? And I'm like, no, unless you live in my neighborhood. And I got a big neighborhood, let me tell you, it's like a small town. But there are people that are dying to be part of something like I've created here. And so I want to open it up and offer it virtually. But anyway, I digress. Getting back to what I was saying about exploring what's really stopping you. If it takes you to take those little baby steps, like cross that line, but keep one in the safe zone, like I did, then go for it. See what happens, because you will be amazed at when you really do it in a authentic, genuine fashion. In other words, for no other reason than just to put your heart out there and create that empathetic statement, story, expression, perspective that only you can do, and see what happens. Because believe me, you will get more from it than you are worried about. Sit down and explore what it is that you're fearful of when it comes to what other people will think when you take that step and become more vulnerable. Create a voice for yourself, discover that voice, and put it out into the world, because you are denying so many people an experience that they're hungry for by not doing so. I want you to be the one that finds your signal and gets that voice out there, because we all need it. We really do. Have a good one and enjoy that prompt.